Hi everybody, thanks for being with me today. I'm Mike Petrancic, Music Director at Orchard Park Presbyterian Church, and today is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Today is Star Wars Day, if you didn't know. By now, many of you have had a chance to experience yesterday's worship service here online, and I hope that you found it meaningful. I thought it was a particularly beautiful service. And I really enjoyed working on Psalm 23 with the four gentlemen from our choir and music ministry here at Orchard Park, Rob Peterson, Barry Faudry, Rich Phipps, and Gary Krause, who did a beautiful job singing Psalm 23 by Stuart Townend. Very, very lovely song. Now, if you haven't seen it, you may want to skip this video until you do watch the service because it's kind of a spoiler. It's probably better that you experience the song and the whole entire service before I give away some of the secrets or some of the technology that's behind making a song and a video like we did yesterday happen. But for those of you who are interested in knowing how we achieved that multi-video screen production of Psalm 23, which is also the same, basically the same method that I used to make the Praise Bands video a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to basically run through the process of how I make a video like that, and how many other places who are doing similar things are making the video with multiple screens, multiple images, singing and playing at the same time, in quotes. Basically what happens is, in this instance, and there are different ways of doing it, there are different pieces of software that you can use, certainly different pieces of equipment that you can use. Now what I use is software that comes already built into my Mac, which is iMovie and GarageBand. And so the way I shoot the video and record the audio and make it all come together on the screen is actually kind of a long and tedious process, but in the end I think it's really rewarding, and it's a very it's a really fun project to do, and like I said, it's really rewarding once you get to the final the final product. So let me tell you a little bit how it happens. First of all, let's talk specifically about Psalm 23. So I had four singers, and one of the singers also played guitar, Rob Peterson. And what you have to do in a video like this is you have to make, in this case, four separate audio and video recordings that you're going to glue together or paste together and layer out on the screen in the order that you want it to appear, using the software that I talked about just a second ago. So what happens is each of the singers is being videotaped, for lack of a more contemporary word, I guess video recorded. We don't use tape anymore. They're being recorded on camera, while at the same time they're also singing, okay? And in this particular song, well, in any of the songs actually, if you're going to do this kind of a project, the first thing you have to start with is your main track of music and video, which has to go from start to finish, and that's going to be the track that all of the singers and all of the players are going to listen to while they add their own individual parts. So in this case, and by the way, the video is recorded on, in our case, on an iPhone, and the videos are recorded, and then the audio is recorded separately using a more high quality microphone and recording setup. And then the video and the audio are then placed together. They're synchronized so that the audio matches up with the person's mouth or fingers as they're moving. It's the same piece of music, it's just it was recorded in two different places, on a camera and also on the computer. So I have to put the audio and the video together and make sure that they sync up so that the person's lips are moving at the same time. You're hearing the same sound that they're making. So in this case, Rob Peterson was playing guitar, and he was also singing one of the parts of the song. So, and what I originally envisioned was just each of the four guys in four parts of the screen all at the same time, just being there throughout the entire song. But trying to be a little bit more creative, I was trying to think of ways to make it a little bit more visually interesting. So I knew that I wanted to have a shot of Rob's hands just playing guitar by itself, and also just a separate shot of Rob's face while he was singing, so that he was not, so that his face wasn't on the screen, just staring blankly while he wasn't singing and while other people were singing. So I thought it would be more interesting if I could cut away to just showing his hands playing while other people were doing their parts, coming in and out of the song before I put them all together at the climax of the song. So the first thing I had to do, and I'm going to show you the audio part of this first. So what I had to do first was I had to record Rob playing the guitar from start to finish, all the way through the song, including the parts that he did not sing, basically the entire accompaniment of the guitar. And so I recorded that first. So that is represented on my screen here. On the top line, we've got Rob's guitar track. And so this is him playing guitar. Okay, so that's just the guitar part, and that's him recording that without any singing. Then, what I had to do next is I had to have Rob then listen to that part that I just recorded. So after I recorded him playing that guitar part, I then played it back to him while he was wearing an ear monitor, and he heard that part that he just played and then sang along with it, and it sounded something like this. Waters, His goodness restores my soul. Okay, so then I had the audio track of Rob's entire audio plus all of the audio of the guitar, and I had that entire chunk, the complete song, meaning at least from start to finish, something that the rest of the singers could follow. I had that part of it done, both in video and in audio. And I'm going to show you the video part of that in just a moment, but I want to first go through the sequence of how everybody was recorded. So once Rob was finished, then I brought in Barry Faudree, and Barry Faudree was in the parlor. And I thought also, just to, again, to add a little bit more visual interest, and to make the just to be a little bit more creative with the piece, I placed all of the singers in different places in the church and took different shots from different angles, just to allow everyone out there to get a chance to see the space again and in a way sort of feel what it's like to be in the space again with another person. So I put Barry in the parlor, and it was a pretty nice day, so I had him sit at the desk near the window and sing his part. And so he came in, and so now I had already now captured Rob Peterson singing and playing guitar, and so I took that track, and then I had Barry in his ear with an ear monitor listen to that track of Rob playing guitar and singing, and then he sang listening to that track. And then while he sang, I recorded him with a microphone that was out of the shot, and then that came out sounding then like this.
And though I walk the darkest path, and I will trust in you alone.
Okay, so then I've got now I've got Barry, and I've got Rob, and I've got the guitar, and the next person I added was Rich, and they all, by the way, all of these guys came in on different days at different times, and so this was sort of this is a cumulative process. And so then I added Rich, and now Rich is now listening to Rob, the guitar, and Barry. So he's got 3 things to listen to while he follows along with the music. And I'm recording his voice, again, with a camera that is off of the shot so you can't see it. And then I added him, and he comes in, he sounds like this.
And I will trust in you.
So then finally, after Rich was finished, the final person to add to the recording was Gary. Gary was to sing verse 2, and I did these out of order and for a particular reason, because of the way that I wanted to add them in the video. So Gary's, even though he did the second verse, I did him last because of the way that I put the video together. That'll make sense in just a minute. So I brought Gary in, and I had Gary sit in the sanctuary. And so Gary sang verse 2, and in his here, now he had the most complete recording to listen to and follow, which was Rob's guitar, Barry, and Rich. And Gary then listened to that in his ear, and he sang along and sang his part.
In righteousness, and he anoints my head with oil.
And so I got all of that together, and then to add a little bit more depth to the recording and to the music, on my keyboard I added. I'll see if I can make this work without you having to hear everybody else's voice. I then added a little bit of keyboard sound underneath it to kind of fill out the space a little bit musically. So that's me playing keyboard, which I recorded the night before on a separate track and then synchronized to the rest of the recording. And then I felt that the accompaniment needed a little bit of bass to it, so I added an upright, quote, upright bass sound on my keyboard, and I played a bass line to it, which I don't know if you can hear on this recording that you're watching, but. And then I wanted to add it, make it even bigger, so I added some strings. And that's the whole recording. Now, on each of these particular tracks, I've got some effects added to them so that it sounded like, because each of them were recorded in a separate space, the microphone and their voice is going to sound like they're in different rooms. So I had to do the best I could with some artificial reverberation, and I had to place their voices, their voice recordings, in essentially the same acoustical space, and so I had to recreate that using some audio processing to make it sound like they were singing on the same recording and not not obvious that it was done at 4 different times. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, so that's the audio part of it all. And so once I had this part complete, then I take this all of this audio here, all of this stuff, and then I just basically compile it down to one finalized audio track, and that's my soundtrack for the video. Okay, that's the whole song, all the instruments, all the voices, all done, all complete. So I'm gonna switch over to a different program. So this is, again, this I did in GarageBand, and that's a basic audio mixing program that comes with almost all Macs. And then for the video part of it, I used a program called iMovie. Now iMovie is a piece of software for novices to intermediate video production, and it's not terribly difficult to use, but it does take a little bit of time to get to know the mechanics of all of the different effects that you can do, and so forth. So let's get back to the original order of how I recorded things, and we'll just talk about the video part of it now. So the first thing, like I said, is that I wanted to have a shot of just Rob Peterson's hands playing the guitar all the way from start to finish, okay? So what I did is I set up my camera, and where Rob was sitting, I set up my camera and I had him play the song just with guitar only, okay? And so that's what I've got here, is just Rob playing the guitar. Now, once I was finished with that, I then needed to have places where his face was going to come in and out of the shot when he was singing and when he was not singing. So when he was singing, or when he wasn't singing, I just wanted to see his hands playing guitar. When he was singing, then I wanted to see his face come in. And the way you do that is, so this is a separate video recording that I made of him just singing with, and he's listening to the guitar track in his let's see, in his left ear, as we're looking at this picture, and you can't see the ear monitor in his ear, and so he sings along basically to the track that he has just recorded on his guitar. Now the tricky thing here is that we have to, in order to make it look and sound right and to make everything line up, I have to basically line up the audio of both tracks so that they're perfectly synchronized. And it may be kind of hard for you to see on the image that you're looking at, but basically in the blue line that's below the video, it shows me where the audio begins in this timeline. And so in the timeline and the video of him playing guitar, the music begins right here. And that same audio, when I shot the shot of him singing, it actually begins over here. So what I have to do is I have to trim this piece of video here, and I have to drag it over so that the two pieces of audio that I can see on this blue line up exactly. And if they line up exactly and I hit play, I shouldn't hear any echo or anything. Whoops. It shouldn't sound echoey or strange in any way. So let's see if I did that right. Okay, good, so I did. So then what I do is I take the audio away from, I can delete the audio from this track here. And so what's going to happen is the video is going to start and you're going to see his hands playing guitar, and then it'll cut to him singing the verse. And we need to find that spot in the song, which is right there. I can see and hear his mouth moving. So I trim the video to the point where he starts singing, and let's see what that looks like now. Okay, so the guitar did the introduction and Rob started singing, and it's a little bit harsh. It's kind of a harsh transition for me to just have his face pop in there. So what you can do, and this is one of the neat little features of iMovie, is that I can fade him in. I take this little control, and what happens is, now that I slide this little control over, if I hit play, you'll see his face gradually fade into the shot.
The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not.
There, you see, so that's a lot more gentle and a lot smoother, and that's what I'm going for. I don't want people's faces just popping onto the screen and then popping away from the screen. I like it to fade in and out. It's much smoother. It's much nicer to watch. So I've got the transition that I like here, and basically what I do is I go through this entire track and I splice places where I want his face to disappear, and then cut back in where I want his face to reappear. And I just continue using that those little controls to fade his face in and out. And so when I'm all finished with all of that, what I end up with is something that looks like this.
The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want.
Okay, and if we move further on down, when he's finished singing that verse, you'll see that his face will fade away, and it goes back to just the guitar. Okay, so that's an hour or so of work just to get that to happen. So the next person to record, and I'm going to move through the rest of this fairly quickly so we're not here for hours and hours. So the next person to record was Barry Faudree. Okay, so now I've got Rob's guitar, I've got Rob fading in and out. The next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to work with Barry Faudree. Barry sings the last verse of the piece, and so I recorded his video, like I said before. This is Barry sitting in the parlor, and at this point he's just kind of sitting and listening to the piece. It's not time for him to sing yet, so rather than have him sit for 2.5 minutes staring out the window, again what I did was I lined up the sound for both of the videos, okay, and then I cut to the point where Barry starts to sing. And then that's where you see Barry then fade in, is when the third verse starts. Okay. Now that I've got Barry and Rob recorded, and I'm thinking about the layout of the song and the text says, "He makes me lay down in pastures green." So what I did is I went out and I found a clip, a loopable clip of this green grass that is blowing gently in the wind, and I make this the background for the entire video. And because it's only 30 seconds long, I have to copy and paste it a few times so that it lasts long enough to go through the entire song. So what I do at this point, so now I've got this recording of Rob playing and singing his guitar, and I want Rob to appear in only this bottom right corner of the screen. So here's how I achieve that. We do what's called, we layer the video on top of the background, and then within iMovie, I choose this feature called Picture in a Picture. And so now I've got the video of Rob playing guitar, and I could put it anywhere I want on this beautiful pasture background, pastoral background. Okay, and so now what we've got is the introduction screen of the grass, and then now Rob's video comes in, and he's in the bottom right corner. And I like that position. It looks good, and that I'm going to keep it that way. So after I'm done putting Rob's video in that position, then I do this same process with each person's video who is recorded. And so I take Barry's video and I do the same process, and I place him in the upper right corner of the screen. And now we see Barry.
And though I walk the darkest path.
Okay, and then, like I said, I repeat this process for all of the singers, and then the final version that I come up with after I place everybody in the positions where I want them. And by the way, you may have noticed that when certain people were not singing, I would fade them out again so that they weren't on the screen just kind of standing there staring and doing nothing. So when Rich finishes his chorus here, I fade him out, and then I go to what is the most prominent voice, or the most prominent instrument at that time. So the next person that comes in to sing is going to be Gary with verse 2.
In righteousness, and he anoints my head with oil, and my cup it overflows with.
So when Gary's done with his verse, then Rich will come back in and sing the chorus.
And I will trust in you, I will trust in you.
And then finally, when we get to the end of the song, Barry sings verse 3, and then all four gentlemen join together to sing the chorus and finish the song out.
And I will trust in you, I will trust in you, and I will trust in you, I will trust in you, for your endless mercy follows me, your goodness will.
So that's basically it. That's the process. It's a lot of cutting and pasting and scooching back and forth, left and right, up and down, to get everything lined up just right. But in the end, I think it's a really wonderful thing to listen to and to watch. And the only thing I guess that we would say is artificial about the process is the fact that the guys were not or couldn't be in the same room at the same time singing the song. But they are virtually, because each of them did sing their part in the song from beginning to end while they were hearing each other in their own headsets. So they, in a sense, they were virtually together, and then I just basically pieced it all together and then came up with what we saw during worship. So if you're wondering how all that happens, that's basically the process right there. The more people you have doing it, the more layers of audio and the more layers of video you have to edit and sync up and do all of that sort of processing work with. So with the band, we had 7 layers of video and audio, and I have another project coming up using this same sort of technique with even more layers of music and audio. So you'll be seeing that, I think, in about a week. So I hope you enjoyed this little demo on how I do what we saw with Psalm 23. And I hope you are having a good day, and I hope you have a wonderful week. And thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time.